Well, as you all know, after a visit to my doctor, he told me that I'm beginning to put on a little bit of weight. So my wife come up with this brilliant idea. The best way to lose weight is to exercise. So she's bought me a dog so I can take a dog for walks. Now this is going to be the first time, so I'm going to take my dog out. I've named him myself, so I'm quite proud of that. And we're going for my walk. So here we go. You can all watch me take my dog for the walk for the first time. Right. Come on, Terminator.
I mean, a lot's happened since we've spoken last time, hasn't it? Really. I mean, I love.
Started now then.
I've just rolled it. I've just rolled it. I can cut it any time I want, so don't worry about it. Yeah, I have sort of started. I will shut my phone off as well because that'll get in the way. I can't believe what happens to you sometimes. I find it unbelievable. Yeah, sometimes like target practice for anything that goes around. But I loved your interview you did on the TV. That was really good, really quite professional. I would have probably made it more like a game show or something like that.
Well, the funniest thing was I also had the BBC contact me.
All right.
And be armed with pepper spray. You can join the debate by using the hashtag #KentSays on social media. Next tonight, the family of a Margate priest has been the subject of frequent racial abuse from their neighbour. Father John Taylor's wife is from Malawi and says his son has also been the subject of horrific abuse. His neighbour was given a 12-month conditional discharge after magistrates in Folkestone found her guilty of 2 counts of causing religious and racial hatred. Well, to talk a bit more about this issue and his experiences, I'm joined in the studio by Father John Taylor from Margate. So thanks ever so much for coming in. First of all, tell me a little bit about what happened.
Well, our neighbours for over a year have been targeting us with general stupid comments at first. They started using the N-word towards my wife. The first time we become aware was when my son was 1 and had to go in an ambulance because he had problems breathing. They shouted out, "Hope the monkey dies." And then it was general monkey sounds, using hand gestures and general nice remarks along those lines, which became very upsetting, made my wife very ill, and my son's personality even changed, where he became loud, and each time anything on TV was loud, like an argument or something on EastEnders, he started screaming and running around and cuddling us both, and it was been quite upsetting. Actually.
Incredibly distressing. And how has it affected your family? When did you know that it was becoming something more than that?
When it continued all the time, because apart from calling my wife and my son those names, there's going saying, "Oh, he's a priest, he's a paedophile, he's this and that," and actually going round telling people. It got that bad, I ended up paying for a basic CRB check, and then going round to some neighbours, I said, "Look, I haven't done anything."
Do you think this is symptomatic of a wider problem in Kent and further afield, I suppose?
To be honest with you, I'd say a little bit, but it's a certain age group. The younger generation, I say younger now because I'm getting old, from about 20s, 30s and below, they're perfectly balanced. There tends not to be or the older generation, they only use a few odd words which are incorrect. But it's that age group from 40s, mid-40s to possibly 50s that grew up on certain phrases which feel that they could use, which haven't learnt yet how to adjust.
And for people who might be experiencing similar things, what would your advice to them be? To report these people?
Report every time. The police are limited on what they can do because they need actual factual proof, whereas the council can act to what they believe more likely to have occurred. So we recorded everything, wrote everything down. But more importantly, get your neighbours to join, because there's nothing worse when people say, "Oh, I heard it, but I don't want to get involved." And when you're the one getting ill, and it's quite frightening and sickening, people should get involved, especially on bits like this, because no one's going to go to jail for calling you a name, but it ruins your life. So they just need to be educated and learn how to stop.
Absolutely, it's all about education, I suppose. Thanks ever so much for coming.
I did an interview, but I had a meeting to go to. I said, "I'm really sorry, I can't do today." and then that was it. Never heard from them again.
All right.
Yeah, which is quite a shame because it would have been nice to say I've been on the BBC.
Not to say it won't happen in the future.
Oh, no doubt it is, but it's always better if it's for a good reason. It's not so nice if it's for, you know, the ongoing disputes we've had.
No, I understand that, but the problem be, we know what news bulletins are like. They're built on negative, and they used to have at the last part of a news bulletin, and for the good news today, one little item or something, someone's found their dog or something like that. So, you know, you get on the news because something's happened, and it's not always a positive experience. Although you would see it as a positive experience, the yin and the yang of sort of, you know, you've moved forward and you're still laughing and joking, so something is still working for you.
Well, you've got to, as I said before, it's like where we live now, it's the entire road is, you know, majority of nice people. Everyone's sort of polite and generally, but we've got one family in a building which holds, I think, 9 families next door, directly next door, and they are just 2 horrible people.
How so?
We've all tried, you know, we've tried. I've given them furniture. I've, you know, when his wife was drunk, collapsed on the floor, I've given him my son's blanket from his pram, called the ambulance. Not even a thank you. It's, you know, just expected.
All right.
And that, you know, no matter what you do, that they seem to take your kindness and your generosity as a sign of weakness. So, you know, we sort of ignored and we ignored. I mean, I think I told you before, the insults I was calling my wife and my son.
Yes.
And in the end, we had enough. So we went to court, and that was quite an experience, you know, because you don't know what's going to happen.
No.
And it was a relief when we come out, and I said to my wife, I said, well, that's all we can do. I said, it's just tell them the truth. And she was found, it was the woman that went to court, and she was found guilty of religious and racial hate crimes. So we come all the way back home thinking it was going to be over. However, when we got home, they was outside, and the husband's just growling at us. And I said to the wife, do you know what? It's not over.
No.
And then since then, we've had, we come out the car, and we see him coming around because he's got a mobility scooter.
Yes.
Because he's too lazy to walk to the off licence, so he gets on his mobility scooter. Because Margate is a bit like Benidorm, you know.
Okay, yeah, well, ain't the sun.
We've got the beach and you can go along. So if I pulled in Mags, I think he'll be upset.
Okay.
You know, so I won't do that.
No.
Anyway, so and we come out there, and he's gone past us. And he's mumbled something, not sure what he said, and my wife's telling me, and I said, just ignore it, dear, he's not going to do anything. And then he goes, so once he goes past and goes to his flat, we get at the car, and he's done a U-turn, and he's tried to drive into my son. So I've grabbed him, bear in mind Leo's 2.
Right.
I've grabbed him, and we've all ended up into the fence, you know, into the bushes. And I said, that's it, he's actually tried now to kill our son. You know, so I called the police, and nothing happened. Well, he said he gave a good reason why he turned back round. And I said, and that's it. And the police go, I'm sorry, that's all we can do. I said, oh, brilliant, appreciate that. I mean, I caught video of him turn around that he wants, his exact words, I want to put a gun to your head and kill you. And then I said to him, I said, what did you say? So he said, I said I would like to put a gun to your head and kill you. Right. So I've got this on my dash cam. I gave it to the police along with all the other incidents. Yeah. Oh, no, that's not enough evidence. You know, really sorry. I said, I'll tell you what, when he does actually kill me, I said, are you going to go on TV and say, oh, we don't know how that happened? Yeah. Yeah.
Most strange.
It's horrible.
Yeah.
It is absolutely horrible. And what's even worse, we pray to God and we tell him this, and I went down and bought a lottery ticket and I still didn't win.
Right, as you all know, I'm now an archdeacon in the Holy See of Antioch Apostolic Old Catholic Church. and we do not get paid in our orders, so we have to make our own means as such. Now, at times, this is where the power of prayer comes into play, because we all struggle. I mean, bills going up through the roof for everything, and especially with a wife like mine, that makeup comes every day. The postman knows me by name, and a son that enjoys McDonald's and Kinder Eggs and never eats them, but screams like crazy if we don't buy them, so we look like terrible parents when we don't. So prayer. Now, I started praying after a few problems we had recently, even more so than normal. And I was praying to God for some money. I said, please, dear God, please help my family. I have sinned, and I still continue to sin, no doubt. Please give us some money. And I heard this voice, and it says, John, you will win the lottery. I was overjoyed. I told my wife, I told my friends. They all looked at me as if I was slightly crazy. Well, crazier. Anyway, weekend came, nothing. I was checking the door all the time, making sure the doorbell was working. No one came. That weekend again, coming up. And as I was sleeping in bed, I heard this voice again saying, John, you will win the lottery. Again, I said, thank you, God, thank you. It would change our lives. We do need this because we live in this terrible rented accommodation. It'd be nice to actually move somewhere with a garden. You know, have a bit of grass, barbecues, beers in the evening. That'd be quite nice. Anyway, weekend came again. No money. So I prayed again. I said, dear Lord, please help us. You know, we would like a better life. You know, we'll do anything. And again, that night I heard God's voice, and he says, John, you will win the lottery. Anyway, come the weekend, nothing. So I walked off into the other room, got by the bed and prayed again. I said, God, you've told me week after week that I was going to win the lottery, and nothing. And then the voice come back and says, John, meet me halfway. Buy a ticket.
So
yeah, but that's not the answer. You know that.
yeah, but basically, all we can do, it does teach you a lot about human nature.
Yeah.
You know, we avoid them as much as what we can, and one day they're going to slip up soon, and hopefully nobody gets hurt. No. But then I'll tell you something funny, because this was a few weeks ago now. It's about 3 or 4 weeks. And I came out my door last week, and he's outside with his wife, because he likes to sit out in the front garden in a chair. All right. Like he's some sort of kingpin. All right. You know, I didn't want to call him Jabba the Hutt, but if he's happy with somebody else, good for him. Yes. And he says, John, and he goes, can we just end all of this? And I look at him, I said, well, that was the idea of the court case when you was found guilty, that it's supposed to end. And he goes, because I'm getting fed up being arrested for everything I'm doing. And he goes, and it's not fair. I said, you know, because it's obviously upsetting him, poor man. Yes. And, you know, and I says to him, I said, well, there's nothing wrong. I said, you should be punished for the crimes you do. And I said, but if there's no more, fantastic, great. And within 2 minutes after that, because I'm still outside, another man goes past in his sort of early 50s who's got a heart condition. He starts abusing him. He's having like mild palpitations of his heart. His wife comes out, this man's wife comes out to help her husband. Yeah. And then this man's trying to start a fight with his wife. And I looked at him, I said, yeah, I see things have changed then. And I went indoors. So it's, in some ways it's personal, in some ways it's not personal. Anyone's a target. Yes, and that's what's dawned on. That's what my wife and I, this is their mentality. In their eyes, they're the victims because they keep on being reported when they break the law. Right. So they are the victims. You know, so, you know, we're learning. Yeah. It's all new to me. Is it just an attention seeker or something like that? No, I think he just knows that because I took a vow not to retaliate, he knows he can get away with so much. But I did phone up my bishop, explain to him what's transpired. Yeah. And he's my bishop, ex-military. Yeah. And he says, oh, no, Father. And he goes, if in doubt, and he goes, and your family are going to be attacked and threatened, and he goes, You defend yourself.
Yes.
Quite rightly. I said, thank you.
Yeah. But I suppose it is a conflict of interest. It's a conflict of interest from you being a man of the cloth, as one would say, and a conflict of interest maybe as your personal side of it. But I think everyone has the right to defend themselves if they're being attacked. But obviously,
But it's hard.
Oh, of course, it's very hard. You know, I mean, I don't think I've ever sort of struck anyone. You know, you try to keep clear of anything like that. You know, for all the years, but. Unfortunately, anyone who is different, a minister of the cloth, clergyman, whatever you want to call it, is often a target. And I think we've had our fair share as well, sadly. But it's just, and I don't think the police take these seriously, and quite rightly, probably they shouldn't in some cases, unless it's a personal threat. And the only reason I'm saying is that because we as a church once, I was accused of murder. So...
wow.
So... it wasn't
Was
until...
that because they heard you sing?
No, it's because I wouldn't stop singing.
Well, rightly so then.
but the long and the short, I used to be paid to sing in the choir, believe it or not, but those days are long gone. But I mean, the police didn't take that seriously. That they actually went through the organisation that we rent the building from, and they went through them, and never came to me directly. But there was a letter, you know, saying that I'd taken some person and murdered them through the church.
Oh.
But so, you know, they don't like
really
anyone...
me with the accusations I've had over the years.
Well, no, it was a one-off. I don't want any more of those, and perhaps I shouldn't be sharing it, but it was just to say that sometimes you become a target for that. And malicious rumours, I think, you know, I'm as good as my last malicious rumour that came out, and some people look at me different, and some people know that it's just a malicious rumour, and other people have responded, well, I didn't know you were having an affair with that lady as well. I thought, what lady are you talking about? Well, I heard this, you know. But I think...
I get that. I get that.
Well,
it's like every time I'm nice to somebody, because generally I like to be polite.
Yes.
You know, and I'm accused all the time, constantly, of something like that. And I look at them, I said, you know, look at my wife. We've got a 2-year-old son.
Yeah.
And I said, we don't get any sleep now. I have got no energy at all. I said, even if I look somewhere, believe me, I'm not looking at anything.
You're window shopping and not buying.
Yeah. But anyway, since I've seen you, or since I've spoken to you, a lot has happened, a real lot. Now we done this this first interview before Christmas, wasn't it? I think we recorded it. Yeah.
Yes.
Now at that time, my LinkedIn account, I think I had about 3,000 followers.
Yes.
You know. Well, followers is their term, but to me that's I think it's a bit of an insult because nobody follows. I mean, if I suddenly saw someone in the street, do you know what? I like the look of that person. I reckon they're really interesting. I'm going to follow them, and I'm just going to walk behind them when they go shopping and go, "Excuse me, what are you doing now?" You know, I'm following you. Hi. You know, if I did that, I'd be locked up.
Yeah.
So I call them friends because it sounds a little bit better than a stalker.
Yeah, sounds a bit suspicious, doesn't it? You know. I'm a troll. Yeah. Nice to meet you.
but now I've got it's gone up to now over 24,000 friends.
Yeah.
You know, okay. Admittedly, most of the people follow me for my sense of humour.
Good.
Because it's certainly not for my good looks. So it's for my humour and a little bit of spiritual as well, you know, religious bits. Because every Sunday I put on something relevant to do with, you know, to the time of the year. It was like this Sunday was the Nativity of St John the Baptist, so I wrote a little bit about that.
Yeah.
So once a Sunday, and then if anything else along the way interests me during the week, then I'll put comments on and, you know, and just involve people.
Yes.
Because I enjoy that. You know, I do enjoy it.
Yeah.
But, as I said, since speaking to you last time, I've now swapped organisations.
Oh, right.
I am no longer in the old Roman Catholic Church.
Right.
Because, to be honest with you, it had sort of dwindled down a bit, my involvement, because I live in Margate.
Yes.
And we really are like Sicily. People forget that it's so close to Italy, you know, and Italy's massive. You know, down here in Margate, we're the same.
Okay.
You know, we're like that distant cousin that nobody wants to talk to.
Right.
You know, and it's harder. But I was approached by the Holy See of Antioch, the Apostolic Old Catholic Church.
Yeah.
And they sent me what they do and how they are. They accept women in their ministry.
Okay.
They accept gay people in their ministry.
Yeah.
They treat people as an equal.
Good.
You know, and I actually loved what they was talking about. So I said, okay. So I was reading through it, and it's sort of it dates back old, but they're trying to sort of progress it forward now and restructure it.
Yeah.
And I said, I'd like to be part of that.
Good.
So they then, through their errors, oh boy, they're going to pay for this. They made me archdeacon.
Wow.
You know, and I'm loving it. It's nice to be part of something, because, like I said, down here it's sort of just been me, myself, and I.
Yes.
And now all of a sudden I've got Cardinal John Dunkley, and I speak to him regular.
Yeah.
And we organising a next sort of group together.
Right.
And I feel
connected,
fulfilled now. I feel like I've got a purpose.
Yes. And where are they based? This church group?
All over the world gradually.
Right.
It's but it's like, as with most things, it seems to start in London, but they've got other branches around the country.
Right.
As well. But it's still on a small basis. I think that, I'm not sure how many members in total around the world, but there's a few here, a few in Ireland, and across everywhere else. But it's the message they're trying to put across. That is what I find fascinating.
Yes.
They were speaking, when I was speaking to them, that they were going to work on a 5-year plan to try and address us as a whole, so we're all singing from the same page.
Yeah.
And that's what's important.
Yes.
Just and say, well, because obviously we're all from different denominations. Now, I in mine, it was I got quite used to the Latin Mass, the Tridentian style, but this is different.
Okay.
So now all of a sudden I've got their book, and I'm trying to learn that, and it's because it is individual, because every organisation is different.
Yes.
And it's very hard to try and learn, because now I'm 18 again now, and it's very hard at this age to try and forget everything what you know.
Yes.
And then restart. But yeah, it's a challenge, and yeah, I mean, I'm happy.
Yes.
I can say that honestly, I'm actually happy doing it.
That's really good, because it's more of an open door policy, where if we talk about religion, I think religion is only man-made in its true essence, because it's all the rules. I mean, the first 3 rules are usually quite nice: love thy neighbour, all the rest, blah blah blah. And after that, there's a few corporate rules stuck on the end. We like these people, we don't like these people, and so forth. So it's nice to have that open door policy, accepting everyone, men and women, in the ministry, which we do ourselves. And it's for the people now, not for the people 2,000 years ago.
Exactly. And you've gone silent there.
No, I'm still here.
Oh, no, sorry. No, and the funniest thing is, it's every single group. As soon as you get people trying to set up a campus as such,
yes,
you get a building. I think getting a building tends to be the biggest mistake, because then you've got to maintain that building. You've got to get so many seats, so many filled.
Yes.
And then it's, let's keep the people here, let's keep them happy. And all of a sudden, the other people outside are not so happy. So it's quite hard when you're trying to do something to involve people.
Yes.
Now, I've been watching, because I tend to go to bed after my son goes to bed.
Yeah.
My wife just collapses wherever she was, and that was it. Well, like that
That's
now.
it.
Yeah, he's sleeping, darling. You can wake up now.
Yeah.
And so I've started watching these alien theories programs, and I find them funny, so funny, because every time there's something different, has to be extraterrestrial. And over the weeks when I've watched it, first of all, it was aliens from outer space, and they've all agreed to that. Alien theorists agree we're being watched. Fine, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Then the next thing, it's our future selves coming back in time throughout history, warning us. So I thought, well, that's a little bit different than the one, which I said before. And then the other one, which I heard yesterday, actually, last night, was that we're in the aliens are in the centre of the Earth. You know, like I think they've been watching Tolkien too much, and they're coming out, and that's why we always lose them, because the centre of the Earth is hollow, and there's another world in there. So it's fascinating. Everybody's got a theory, and yet they accept it all, everything.
Yes.
And I thought, well, if only religion worked the same way.
Yes.
You've got such a vast variation there. Either it's our future selves coming back in time, or it's people from another planet, or it's the centre of the Earth. We can't even agree on Judaism, Christianity and Islam.
Yeah.
You know, we're all singing from the same spot here.
Yeah.
So I do find it fascinating that people generally tend to make things complicated.
Yes. Well, I think it becomes almost an exclusive club, and then they put the caveats in afterwards. We only connect with these people. We don't want this, we don't want that, and it becomes no more than a business with a corporate plan. This is our mission statement, and the mission statement keeps changing. God's mission statement never changed. And I think the closest thing to non-religion is listening to the Dalai Lama talking about spirituality, not spiritualism. Spirituality saying we're all part of the same plan. You know, it's a spiritual life, nothing to do with religion. And that's religion becomes a division of any particular group of people, and it becomes an exclusive club with its limitations and its requirements and its regulations. God doesn't have that. We're all part of the same plan. And clearly the Buddhist message, I'm not converting anyone into Buddhism, but it's clearly when the Dalai Lama speaks, he says we're all part of the same plan. You know, we're not talking about religion, we're talking about a better way of life, of loving everyone unconditionally, without saying we like those people, we don't like these, and we don't like that, and it's a bit of a pick and mix sometimes. So it's having a more open plan view. Yeah,
that is people. That is people, though.
Absolutely.
We are the problem in ourselves, in the same thing. It's, you know, we've said it time and time again. We look for things we don't like. There's been complaints by doctors now on TV, the adverts. Do you remember the stage when the models on TV were so skinny? Yes. They looked like they're being painted from that chap, you know, done the Capstick Men. And
Picasso type.
No, they look like that.
Yeah.
Now they realise that not all women are that thin, and they're using a larger size model.
Yes.
Now doctors and scientists are saying, you know, but they're now agreeing that being obese is acceptable, and they're complaining against that. So it doesn't matter what you try to do correctly, somebody upset by it. You know?
There's always going to be that, you're right.
Shirts. Apparently I've got to wear a blue shirt or a grey shirt, you know, but I still wear my collar, because this is supposed to represent more of a Roman Catholic, where blue shirts not supposed to recognise the Anglican. The grey shirts, I think, Methodist. I don't know. It's a shirt.
It's a label, isn't it? And we've gone through a very similar process ourselves, part of a Christian Spiritist society, that some of the members wanted to have the clerical collars, or dog collars as I call them sometimes. But we've said no, you know, we're in a modern day society, you don't need that. We still wear a sash, we still have a minister's seal for writing official documents if it's needed, which is not very often. So if I'm officiating, I have a suit and a sash and a badge, and that's it. But so we're
But it's
not
still recognisable.
Yeah, but it's those who wanted to wear a clerical collar, and they formed another group called the Corinthians, which is good luck to them. But we've gone the opposite way.
Do they have to leave just to wear a collar?
Yes, because we said we want to connect with the people. I've always said there's three people you don't want to sit close to or have to deal with. One could be a policeman, and I've done my time with the police, not on the wrong side but on the right side. And the other one would probably be a tax inspector, and the third will be a minister of the cloth, because that usually frightens the bejabbers out of people, and they don't quite know how to handle it. And the only thing that I can relate to is sometimes when I work at the hospital. I remember years ago a lovely man that I knew was dying as you're in a hospice, and I sat well on this side of his...
You said.
and it was being natural. As I said before, you know, they thought I was his son. I was lucky to look that young, where he was looking that old. But the man in the corner was completely in black, and he was the priest that was sitting there saying nothing to the person. He was just being there. And that's the difference. We've got to integrate into society and be who we are. Yes, we represent who we are as a religious group, but we don't want to take ourselves too seriously, because they need to change their attitudes. You've done that. You've moved everything forward, and you brought life into whatever you wear and whoever you represent. And now you've moved to a group, which I think is fantastic, that accepts all walks of people, and also ministry that is either male or female or indifferent, wherever you fit into those scales. And you brought that natural love and human nature into a job that requires that.
Absolutely. I mean, people forget. People actually forget. You know, and it is a shame. And do you know the worst thing of it is, people always say, oh, I didn't realise priests can marry. And I said, well, the only denomination to my knowledge which do not marry is Roman Catholic.
Yeah.
You know, strict, devout Roman Catholic.
Yeah.
And I said, but they used to marry. They still allow other ministers who are married to join now. I said, because that's changed slightly. And I said, but why are people so fixed on just one denomination? I said, there are hundreds of other denominations where the priests are allowed to marry and suffer the same as any other man out there.
Yes.
You know, because we're all told off. I mean, I'm lucky that my wife gives me a list of everything I got wrong the day before.
Okay,
so
good.
I try and practice and improve the next day. I fail, but you gotta set yourself these tasks.
Yes. Well, in fact, if you think about it, it's quite a natural process to fall in love with someone, and if it's the right time to have children as well. And that's the most natural thing. You know, your congregation's going to do that. You know,
exactly.
Why should that priest be excluded? Because, as we know, without mentioning anything about it, that creates other problems. Look at the court cases that are coming for those that don't do the right thing, and I'm not even going to discuss that. You know, nature should be allowed to develop.
The strangest thing is the group, and you know, no, we will discuss it.
Okay.
Because I don't think it's right not to, you know, what I write on LinkedIn, I'm honest.
Yes.
Okay. Now, I've been, since I've been made chairman of Fanny Interfaith Group as well.
All right, lovely.
And basically, I don't think anyone else turned up, and they go, what idiot wants to take over? Then they go, him. So I think that was the official way of how it was done. But I want to talk about the taboo subjects and how we can learn from it and what we can do. It's like confessionals.
Yes.
Okay, when people, when someone confesses to a priest, what can you repeat on, what you can't?
Yeah.
And I now change when I take it, and I say to the people, if it is of a serious nature which affects other people, I will pass on that information.
Yes.
If it's just, say, a person being a horrible person in his life, work, or, you know, defrauding the banks, the tax office, you know, whatever it is, that's between him.
Yes.
That's not nothing to do with me. However, if a man is abusing children, if a man is killing people or planning to, I will report that. I will not sit back, because I took a pledge, a vow to God, to protect and help people. I never took a vow to protect an organisation, to protect their own backs, while we pretend it doesn't happen and allow the people which we're supposed to represent and care for to be harmed. That to me is wrong, and I think it is disgusting and immoral when they're trying to justify that, and I will not allow that at all. Full stop.
Good. I agree with you 100%, and that's why there's been so many problems there, and we've got to be a reflection of our congregation. You know, you bring that love and that light to them, and they share that light. That, you know, there becomes a happy church. You know, whether your happy church is online, whether you do live updates or whatever however you do it, you're meant to be doing what you're doing now. And I'm so pleased that you've actually gone into an organisation that takes a more liberal view about life, who can be part of the church, remove all the restrictions and let everyone become a true community of God in some particular way, rather than something that's just too secular and is non-committal in many different ways. So you're quite right to share those views, but I'm so pleased you can be in an organisation where you can express yourself and, you know, be up to date like everyone else is. We're not living 2,000 years ago, and we're not still holding on to old rules that don't really belong to religious groups.
No, and this is the thing which we've discussed. It's like we've got laws of the land, okay?
Yeah.
Our purpose is for our soul, our next life, and a guidance and acceptance to everything around us. Now, the laws of the land are to protect us all.
Yes.
Whether we like it or not like it, even like you can't speed down a certain road, you know, sometimes we forget these little things and we get punished by that.
Yes.
But when you actually look back on it, okay, 30 miles an hour, yep, I see why. If someone stepped out the road, I can stop. I understand the logic there.
Yes.
Parking somewhere on double yellow lines and they give you a ticket, don't always understand. I mumble a little bit, but fair enough, I try not to do it again. But that's the same as, I mean, if you're going to become a priest or a minister and you're going to try and educate people on what Jesus Christ did, you know, where he taught love, he taught respect, he taught harmony, he taught equality.
Yes.
And you've got to do the same. Hello, Leo, you woken up then, son? Yeah. Okay, come in. Come in.
Now this is what I call a live broadcast. Am I going to get a wave? Hello.
This is my son, Leo.
Hello, Leo. Nice to see you.
You know, his mum's gone to London to see a friend.
Oh, right.
So I was left to
babysit.
Look after him.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Nice
You
to
know?
see you.
Yeah, so anyway, so he had a little nap and we thought we'd get away with it, but we didn't quite.
Yeah, but that's all meant to be. What the lovely thing about it shows how natural and loving that you are. You've not dismissed your child. Go away, I'm busy, son.
Oh, no, never do that.
Yeah, but you see, people need to know that. There's others who would do that, and it's great to see the family man connected, and I think that's wonderful. I mean, I think that has now made the interview. That has now encapsulated everything you've been talking about.
With me, see, it's like, to me, what being a Christian means that I accept Jesus for who he was. I accept the teachings of him.
Yes.
And it is about love and about family. The greatest gift I have, and the best thing I get, is this one here.
Yes.
You know, and so I've got to make his life as better and as comfortable as what I can. So I will go about, I'll take the sacrifices, so his life and then his family's life hopefully will be better than mine. But
Yes.
the only way we can do that is by working together, understanding each other,
Yes.
and then trying to find a happy equilibrium for us all to still enjoy what we do, but in our own way.
I agree with you 100%. I really, really do, and I'm so pleased that you've jumped ship, as one would say, onto a new organisation that has such an open door policy to respect everybody out there. And this is what we need. This is why churches, in some cases, are losing people, and other churches are gaining it because of such open view to everything. And I'm very proud of what you do. I think what you do is fantastic. I think your pathway using the internet and your LinkedIn account and making those connections with 24,000 followers or whatever you want to call it, I think that's fantastic.
Friends.
Friends in, yeah. And I think it's great, and I really wish you the best for all that, and I want to continue connecting with you, because you're the life and the soul of the internet, and people need people like yourself just to do more, and I'm sure we're going to make some more connections as we go forward, and just watch things grow. So
I'll just say one thing to you.
please.
Okay, I was talking to a friend of mine, and my friend is very wealthy, and he's been on about this ice age, mini ice age.
Oh yes, you were saying, yeah.
But it happens every sort of 1,000 years or something. The last one happened in the Middle Ages. It lasted a few hundred years on and off.
Yeah.
And then Thames froze over in the 1600s and all
Right.
that. But people are mocking it. Now, I when he first told me, I thought, I don't believe that.
Yeah.
Don't believe that. And then I sort of come home, go to bed. Biggest thing is when you try and sleep, that's when your brain starts working.
Absolutely.
And it reminded me of Joseph and in the 7 years of sleeping, Joseph the coat of many colours.
Yes.
The 7 good years and the 7 bad years and so on. And I started thinking, I thought, hold on a minute. So what actually happened? We had the French Revolution, because people were hungry.
Yeah.
Crops failed. We had the Irish famine, wasn't it? The potato crops.
Yes, that's right, yeah.
It happened in America. And I'm thinking, well, this is only a few hundred years ago. Then the Bible tells us the story as well about the years you've got. And I said to the wife, I said, you know what? I said, even if it isn't like a mini ice age, I said, but if we get heavy snow, just for 2 days, there's nothing in the shops because people are panickful.
Absolutely, yeah.
What on earth would happen if crops really did fail now?
Yes.
Because with this migration, all these people leaving one country because of poverty, coming across of Europe, and there's supposed to be millions, who's going to pick those crops there, which were once working? So, and if there was a failure, and I just thought, well, this one country here has got so much food to feed the population. If it doubles in population, everyone's then suddenly hungry.
Yeah.
And so it does sort of make sense. So I don't really know. So the only thing I can think of is plan and prepare everything you do in life. Because a disaster can happen to any of us, anyhow, anywhere.
Yes.
And it's just to make sure that your cupboards are full. If your cupboards are full, then no matter what happens outside for the next few days, or for a week, you can survive and everything else. And that, I think, I just take now generally in life.
Yes.
To make sure. I mean, it's like we're hoping now this summer's coming. What do we get now? 4 days, is it, for our summer now in England?
Yes, that's right. Yes, if you're lucky.
If it's a real long one.
Yes.
So we've gone out and I bought suntan lotion for Leo.
Yeah.
Factor 50 because it's got to be good. So I bought 2 bottles. My wife, being my wife, decided that 2 bottles wasn't enough. We now have 6 bottles, family-sized bottles. So we could bath in it now.
Yeah.
We got that much. So we're okay. So if you ever run out and the shops have run out of sun cream, you know who to call. Yeah,
I shall send you a padded jiffy bag with a return address and Bob's your uncle, as they say, yes.
I appreciate that. Right then, Ed, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk to you.
Yeah.
As usual, we ended up not having a clue what we're going to talk about. And we talk about everything.
Well, I think it's important because everybody is talking about everything, and what they expect sometimes religious people to only talk about one thing, bash the Bible or any holy book and talk about the good points and the bad points. But you're such a family man in the way you do your religion. It's not really religion, because religion is man-made. It's God-made, is with that open door policy. And I'm so pleased that we're once again talking again, and I know it's not going to be the last time. I think I want to see your friends on LinkedIn to double to 40,000 and all the rest, and I'm hoping to see you at least on the BBC or some other wonderful channels, because I think...
that was good. Do that again.
The BBC, yes.
The old beep.
Absolutely.
I'd like to do a panel show. Can you imagine that? Like, do you remember Never Mind the Buzzcocks?
Yes, I do. I think you'll be really good.
Yeah, we met Sean Hughes once.
Uh-huh.
You know the comedian. Unfortunately, Sid's dead. We saw him, my wife and I, and he stops the show, and he goes, "You?" And he goes, "Are you really a priest?" I went, "Yeah." And he was talking to me. He goes, "Do you believe in heaven and hell?" I said, "Well, I live in Margate, so what do you think?" Right, and he just laughed. And he at the end of the show, he come down and gave us a hug, and he says to me, he goes, "I could have really ripped into you." I said, "Thank you, I appreciate it." Well, on Saturday, my wife treated us to go and we saw the comedian Lee Nielsen.
All right. I'm not sure if I know the person, but I might recognise his face.
Look him up. He is hilarious. What I like about him, okay, he uses expletives more so than most children these days.
Yes.
But he was funny and he interacted with people.
Oh, right.
I was actually watching him, the way he presented himself. Obviously he's got a set routine.
Yes.
But he adjusted it to the people he was speaking to.
Yeah.
You know, and I just thought, what a brilliant tradesman. Apparently, in real life, this is what we're told, he was supposed to be a doctor.
Wow.
You know, and he went into comedy. But he was so funny because he interacted. There was an old man there who was 81, and he was joking and laughing with him. There was a 12-year-old girl, or 11 or something, he was speaking to.
Yeah.
And he said, he goes, it's really good that your parents bring you to an adult show. Tell me what's the worst swear word you know so I know how to adjust to it. Right? And so it was a bit like that.
Oh, right.
And he looked at me and he goes, stand up. And I went, no, I don't want to. And he goes, come on, stand up. So I stood up, goes, turn around, goes, say hello. I went, hello. And he goes, filthy bloody clergy. And then he looked at my wife and he goes, we know that he's kidnapped you. There's help for you at the end of the show. Don't worry. But it was so funny.
Yeah.
I mean, we laughed and we laughed throughout. But he was speaking to everyone. He was polite. He was respectful. And, I said to my wife, Trish, and I said, do you know what? I said, he's a small man. And I said, but he's fills that whole stage.
Yeah.
I said, that's talent.
Yeah.
And I said, if I can just be a quarter as good as him in what I tried to do, I said, then I've succeeded.
Well, I think you're going to do it. And I also think that when you do your first show, I want a front seat, but I'm not going to stand up. All right.
Yeah, I'll get you to stand up and turn around.
I've loved speaking to you today. Take care, and I will catch up with you offline, and we'll touch base again. Have a good day. This is meant to be. God bless. Bye for now.
Like a bird on a tree, I'm just sitting here. I got time, it's clear to see. From up here, the world seems small. We can sit together.
As it's the football season and England has just gone through to the semi-finals, beating Sweden 2-0. Sorry about that, Sweden, as you can see the sympathy in my face. And we are now going for the semi-finals, the first time since, I believe it was 1990. Anyway, it's only appropriate that we have a proper prayer to help our lads through, because I'm sure it's going to come home. Our Father, who art in Moscow, Southgate be thy name. The cup will come, Kane's work will be done, in Moscow as in Tottenham. Take this day our daily penalty, and forgive Vardy's offside trespasses, as we forgive those who bet against us. And lead us not into underachievement, but deliver us the title, for football's coming home. This history and the glory for ever and ever. Amen.